Hello friends and family, my name is Skylent, and here I try to be edutaining for gaming audiences. Specifically PC, absolutely, and specifically as well more on the social side, and that kind of goes hand in hand with free-to-play titles. So if you're looking for really awesome online free games that really epitomize PC gaming so that you can download them right now on your new gaming laptop or whatever, you just went to Walmart, picked up a Dell, it doesn't matter, you want to see what PC gaming actually has, what's so special about it, and join these communities, look no further than right here. In the comments below, I'm sure we're gonna have people also recommending a ton of games, and don't forget to click on the Discord link in my description as well. And if you want to play with me, I'll stream, we can hang out, add me, jump into these titles, absolutely. But I think these are the games that are must-plays, that are must-haves. These are your first 10 free-to-play PC games that you must play for this year, starting out 2021. So let's keep the hype alive, and don't forget to like, but hopefully, let's have a good time. So starting out the list, I think we're actually going to go in somewhat of a reverse order, like the obvious games and the ones that are clearly the ones you must download, the ones that everyone else has played. Yeah, they should be first. That's what we're going to be talking about. So number 10, it's TeamFortress 2. Now, why is this game so beloved? It's because it's a little bit older. It's the first free-to-play game that a lot of people really connected with on PC. For me, it was the second game I downloaded on Steam, right next to Spiral Knights, which was this cute action RPG, which I've been championing lately. But TeamFortress 2 is like the FPS that got a lot of people into PC FPSs. Now, it was also on Xbox, but that got discontinued with the orange box stuffs. This is from Valve, obviously, so games like Portal, Left 4 Dead, a lot of really cool FPSs from them, but TeamFortress 2 is the one that also spurned on the genre of hero shooter, even though technically TeamFortress 2 is not a hero shooter. If you need a hero shooter proper game, obviously there's Overwatch, and as free-to-play, there's a game called Paladins, but TeamFortress 2 is something that's still, even to this day, unique and special and really weird. You have these different mercenaries, red versus blue. It's just really ridiculous, base versus base type of, gameplay. However, each character does play very uniquely with unique physics, and there's a bunch of different weapons and customizations between them, but really what's special is the fun custom game modes. I personally love Man vs. Machine, which is a horde mode. They have really wacky seasonal events, and the sort of ecosystem and how you play this game isn't like Overwatch or other competitive shooters. It's just more silly, people just run around, try to Goomba stomp, or they just rocket jump all over the place. There's even like rocket jump maps and slide maps, and I don't know, you can jump into a custom server and play Simon Says. Like, it's just a very silly and lighthearted experience that is something that I've missed from the old Xbox Live days of like custom maps and Halo and etc. So TeamFortress 2 is a really cool game that can bridge into competitive, but for the most part, if you just want a PC shooter game that has lots of different characters, lots of different ways to play, and kind of a great stepping stone or tutorial for proper PC shooting, yeah, I think that's TeamFortress 2, and no doubt about it. I think the reason why I want to recommend it for somebody who's very new to PC gaming is you're new to using keyboard and mouse. So you can actually play classes like Engineer, possibly, or the Pyro to kind of get used to mouse and keyboard movement and aim, and then you can kind of elevate yourself since, PC games tend to have more intensive physics and such. So you're going to be playing with like rocket jumping eventually, grenade jumping, you're going to eventually move on to the Scout and play across that. And there is that sort of bridge of competitiveness and team play, and the matches actually do kind of get to a big team battle sense, which normally on console games it's very low player counts, 4 players, 5 players maybe, something like that. So it's really cool to jump into TeamFortress 2, have big team players, also have a mix of arenas. It just has a mix of breadth of gameplay that normally you can see from consoles to PCs, but you do actually start to bridge into that, proper PC gaming ebb and flow and feel, especially with this one last gimmick, which kind of goes in hand with the unique community feel, with the custom servers. Like, you actually join servers. It's not all just matchmaking. You can, of course, quick play, but that feeling of joining a server, which you sometimes get in games like Battlefield, and, in console games that basically doesn't exist. So TeamFortress 2, where you jump into a server and you go back there every single day, you make friends, you join their Discord, etc. Maybe sponsor them via Patreon, whatever, help support and run the server itself. Maybe become a mod. It's just really cool to actually consistently play with the same people. Again, even though it's not competitive and it doesn't have really good matchmaking or leagues or anything like that, that is a detriment, but still, as somebody who's just getting into PC games, don't expect you to really jump into competitive stuff. TeamFortress 2 is the obvious first pick for a lot of people to just kind of learn what PC gaming really can do special and really what makes it feel fun playing with a mouse and keyboard. And frankly, regardless of being PC, gaming, or otherwise, TeamFortress 2 is really just a fun and very unique game itself, which sometimes, and mostly on PC, you will find experimental and strange titles, especially free-to-play. So you definitely want to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of those, but Team Fortress 2 was absolutely a grandfather of a lot of these titles that I now cover on my channel. And though saying that, though, the game is still fun and very, very popular today, so please have fun, give a chance to Team Fortress 2. Next game at number 9, again, going through like the most obvious first, is League of Legends, which for this position I actually contested with a few other MOBAs, specifically like Dota 2, but frankly Dota 2 is really overly complicated, and Dota, it took me 100 games before I realized, oh, I'm having fun. League of Legends and a few other MOBAs, it was a little bit more instantaneous. Now, if you're still having trouble getting into MOBAs, what I can suggest is kind of having the perspective of, this is a learning experience, and that never goes away. You are always learning a MOBA. So the fact that, maybe you think, oh, it's just point and click, oh, it's just about memorization. That's part of the game, yeah, for sure. But there's actually a lot of deeper mechanics entwined within that, such as the point and click, having a 0 turn rate, which means you can instantly turn, which means you can instantly dodge, and this game is filled with skill shots, and with certain characters it can feel like a fighting game. So that's the second tip I want to give. If you want to get into League of Legends or you really still don't understand it, you basically gotta find the character that clicks with you. For me, and for frankly most people on the planet, those characters are, it was Yasuo first for me, some people really love Lee Sin, or most people, and then Ezreal, and then following through there's a bunch of other characters, which you can just see the most mained characters, their stats all over the place, and there's also build guides and tons of tutorials and videos on YouTube on how to learn League of Legends and get into it. But frankly, just jump in and goof around, and it's okay to lose, and it's honestly, it is okay to suck. There is one warning though. Being, this might be your first time playing a really competitive game like this, especially with such a weird control scheme. I get it, but it's also a team game, which is fun and very new to you, this style of game, but it can be toxic. Because if you die over and over again, you basically make the other team stronger, so you do gotta watch out for that. And if you buy the wrong items, then you're basically gonna become useless and a weight on your team, or literally help the enemy team. So there is toxicity, there is gonna be vulgarity in the text chat, or if you join people's discords. But if you can jump in with a friend or two, this game is such a fun learning experience that again never ends. It's a roller coaster, and once you find your niche, which is gonna be your role, for me I really love jungle so much, and support's actually tremendous fun. Play those. Actually, I would have to say jungle and support are the most fun. Maybe mid is also pretty cool, but they're the most fun roles. Check those guys out, especially support. But League of Legends is a game that is tremendously popular for a reason as a sport, but also it's tremendously popular, even though it doesn't have as many custom game modes as Dota 2, and it's not as instantaneously fun, I would say, as Smite. It is something that runs on literally any machine, and I think once you just get the basics down and you get into the mindset of, oh, this is a learning experience, it has an infinite amount of replayability. So I myself had to actually uninstall because it was taking up too much of my time from my programming classes, but I'm about to reinstall it because, God, it is just so freaking good. And again, I cannot stress, even though it's top down and it looks very strategic, it actually does play with most characters feeling like a fighting game. And if you just want to know my favorite characters, it's Yasuo, it's Thresh, and many of the support crew as well. So definitely check out supports. Lots of skill shots, again, that make this game feel very intensive mechanically, and the itemization and the customization and the different role feelings, and of course the establishment of an esport and how established the meta is, makes this a really fun, competitive PC game that you should absolutely give a shot. Even if you're not normally competitive, I think you might find a little bit of fire in yourself when you actually boot up League of Legends. For at least, maybe after the first 10 games, you'll start to feel a little bit of that heat. Next up here, number 8, I'm gonna put an MMORPG. The genre that really is, frankly, a PC genre. Now, you can play many, maybe a lot, of really good ones and truly massive games on PS4, probably going to be on the new consoles as well, even some on mobile. I totally get it, like RuneScape, absolutely, but Guild Wars 2 is going to be the game that I'm championing here for a few reasons. If you want a truly massively multiplayer game where you really feel it, and it feels like a big open world, there's dynamic events, giant dragon fights where hundreds of people are trying to kill it, really intensive dungeons, and you have explorable worlds with jumping puzzles and secrets to find. Yeah, there's a lot of fun magic and action combat. There's some really cool social events as well in Guild Wars 2. I did a naked dance party. There's people who play like Celine Dion music on their harps around town. It's fun. It's a wild ride, and it's absolutely what I would say is the epitome of theme park game design Guild Wars 2 is the MMORPG that I think really exemplifies massive gameplay, at least the most, when it comes to RPG mechanics as well. So MMORPG, my pick is 100% Guild Wars 2. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of really fun, free-to-play, technical MMOs, and there's a bunch of games that people would probably recommend, like trying the Trial in Final Fantasy, trying the Trial of RuneScape or World of Warcraft, maybe jump into Blade and Solitaire. You know, I could run down the list of games that people are going to recommend in the comments below. But frankly, I think in most ways, and in the ways that it matters, categorizing this as an MMORPG with, you know, customization of your classes, your characters, and really, you know, just massive number of people going around and killing giant dragons and stuff like that. That is Guild Wars 2. No other game does it as well by far. Some other games might have one technical feature here or there, but especially as being free to play, being generally fair, and being like with such a breadth of gameplay, absolutely, this is going to be it on the list. And if you need any tips or tricks on how to get into it, you can join my Discord as well. We actually somewhat recently went through the game, and I would have to say that we played like this, and I think you should play like this too, where you play with other new players. Don't just try to get told what to do by veteran players. Run into the dungeons blind, basically. Run into it, learn this game by yourself. Don't over-guide yourself. Don't, you know, be overzealous with trying to play this game like an esport. This is one of those, it's the journey, not the destination. That's literally how the entire game is built and designed. Like, there's no sub-fee. The expansions are standalone experiences. You don't have to worry about those. You can get to max level as free-to-play. Like, you don't have to worry about that. So enjoy the ride, do the jumping puzzles, you know, enjoy the silly story, just listen to the set pieces, the funny jokes that are played environmentally, and enjoy the game for what it has to offer, which is, as a theme park, many different rides, from world versus world, arena PvP, all that good stuff, a breadth of gameplay to be had here that no other MMO really delivers on as well, in my opinion, especially being as free and as truly, let's say it again, massively multiplayer. When you download this game for the first time, or you just started playing, or maybe you didn't quite feel it, you might want to come back and give it a shot. I'm going to recommend the Warrior class. In other games, it's more straightforward, still a tried and true favorite, but in Guild Wars 2, I actually think they have the best Warrior, especially with the mechanics of being pseudo-tab targeting, or debatably you can go full action combat, but the Warrior has, I think, the most skill shots, the most acrobatics actually, it's overall the most fast-paced, and even though Thief kind of competes there as well, the Warrior has, I think, also the best ranged gameplay. You can be like a nuke with the freaking great bow and all the giant fire attacks. It's a truly fun class that I think exemplifies the overall mechanics of Guild Wars 2 the best. Even though my favorite class is still Mesmer, that's maybe for a little bit more veteran players, and it has more of a rotational standard style gameplay, though with clones, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think Warrior is going to be probably the best class that any new player can actually jump into Guild Wars 2 to really start to get a feel of what makes the game special too. Now, I have to put a Battle Royale. That is the newest, biggest, trendiest genre for PC gaming, or otherwise. A lot of the stuff is on console, even mobile devices, but for free to play on PC, the one that is just the most special, and I think also it's somehow the most approachable, even though it's like really competitive, fast-paced, hardcore. You can see the gameplay, right? You know. It's Apex Legends, and in fact, many of you probably are getting a gaming PC just for this game. Maybe you played Fortnite on mobile, maybe, you know, from that you saw some people playing this game. It's a PC title only, and specifically with its mechanics. That's Apex Legends. Now, this is specifically a hero shooter battle royale, so you do have individual characters with special abilities, but it's also built sort of with the framework of Titanfall, which was a fantastic and such a PC shootery game that at the same time was collaborated and worked on with Xbox, Microsoft. But you know, Titanfall 1, yeah, that was cute and everything. Titanfall 2 was actually really special. Still didn't really hit the ground running, even though it's a movement shooter. Movement shooters tend to be really fast, PC oriented. They don't really work on consoles, but yeah, they tried to kind of make it work for both. Didn't hit either demographics exactly, but with Apex Legends, the game really blew up. They kind of tightened the movement mechanics just a little bit. The game overall is still fast-paced. The game is still somehow, yeah, a little bit more grounded than its predecessors. You're not literally jumping on walls constantly and stuff like that, so it's not too over your head, I think. But you do have people with grappling hooks and jump pads and ridiculous stuff like that, but it's more or less boots on the ground, and you don't have any building mechanics like Fortnite, which is actually really intensive. but this is still an aim-intensive game. It still is a competitive game. It is a proper esport, and it looks and feels like it, absolutely. So if you want a hardcore shooter that will get your heart rate up, like intensively, that is Apex Legends. Now, out of all the Battle Royales that I have played, which is pretty much every single one, I've got to say that Apex Legends really just hits a sweet spot for me, and I think many of you. It's 3 players, or you can go into duos. There is no solos, though, so it is a team-oriented game balanced around team play, and it feels really good to jump in with some friends, and it just feels good to kind of just play a good PC shooter. Fast-paced, good aim sense, stuff like that. It just feels really good without overly worrying about any one gimmick or the other, which you do find either like building in Fortnite, or it's some weird PvEVPing like Hunt Showdown, which I think is really unique and cool too, but Apex Legends is the one that I gotta champion here, and I think it's the one that most people who would probably find this channel would actually be enjoying as well. And if you aren't playing it, then you probably should give it a shot. And if you aren't actively playing it, maybe you did before, time to jump back in. It's constantly updated, and it's only getting bigger and more exciting every single season. And yes, Battle Royales can be competitive. It's no longer a joke, and Apex Legends is the most sincere attempt that I've seen at that. The one that I think adults, kids, children, everyone can take seriously. I get it's not as wacky, and it doesn't have the crazy events that Fortnite has, which is probably another must-play, must-buy, because it's like the most popular game right now. But Apex Legends, just in terms of being a competitive Battle Royale and being a proper, hardcore master race PC shooter, yeah, no, this is the one. This is absolutely, uncontestedly, for me at least, and hopefully for many of you, the one. Especially because its competitor, Fortnite, actually the building mechanics, as silly and goofy as that game can be, yeah, that's kind of a huge barrier to entry now. So yeah, Apex Legends is a game that you can just pick up, run, gun, maybe get a kill or two, have some fun, or take it much more seriously, join in with a squad for reals, and try to get multiple W's and really play the game competitively. I think it has a nice transition from casual to competitive, where other games such as Ubisoft's new ridiculous, whatever, FPS that died instantaneously, Spellbreak and stuff like that, those games are a little bit too much. Again, Apex Legends just really has a really proper flow. Like, you get into a flow state that I think a lot of people will have just consistent fun with. And halfway on the list, I have to put PlanetSide 2. This was actually the game that I put first on the list, like as in this was basically the reason why I wanted to make the list. PlanetSide 2 is something that I think everyone should play. Now, you can actually play it on some consoles, PS4 I believe at least, and whatever, it's really a PC game. Like, you need to play this at generally, decent frame rates. You need to play this with a mouse and keyboard to get the most out of it. And it can look a little bit dated, and it can look a little bit cheesy, like this ain't no like brand new Halo or whatever. It's not Call of Duty either. If you kind of like the old movie like Starship Troopers or something like that, if you can understand the cheese of the sci-fi nature of it, it's so stupid and fun. So here's the gimmick, okay? It's an MMO. And unlike being an RPG, though, you literally start, it's a giant continent, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people in a faction versus faction versus faction situation where you guys are all fighting over different bases, different territories, and it is insanity. So if you maybe have teased a little bit of big team battle in your Call of Duties, they call it Ground War, maybe a big team battle in Halo, there's a few battlefields you might have played on console. All those games absolutely pale in comparison to PlanetSide 2 being a proper MMO. It doesn't stop. It never ends. It is constant, hundreds of people with rockets and lasers and tanks and people throwing C4s after jumping off of four-wheelers and giant airdrops, airships and cannons, and it's crazy. It's absolute ridiculousness, and it's cheesy, it's silly, but for me, from the gameplay that you can see, most of it should be from me, it's just really stupid, like all the fun gimmicks you can have with the different classes, the customization. I personally, my two favorites is going to be, firstly, I love going full stealth with a one-shot kill vibro knife or whatever, and I just go berserk. So you see that, and then also I really like drift jets with a shotgun, so it almost feels like Tribes Ascend or maybe like an Unreal Tournament. It almost feels, like an arena shooter in that sense, just flying around, pop, pop, slapping people in the face. I'm still learning how to fly in the game, which is a high skill ceiling maneuver, but just jumping in and actually being a healer is a great way to earn certs, which is how you earn the customizations in game, and that's definitely going to be my recommended route. Start the game, play as a support class, play as a healer, either as an engineer, but most likely as a medic, revive people, throw in the healing stuffs, you know, throw some grenades, stuff like that, and just kind of be a part of the blob and the Zerg. And as you start to learn the game and learn the different ways you can play it, such as being a, you know, a flanking stealth ninja like me, then, you know, you actually join in with the squads. And I think it's a great game to make friends too, because communication is actually really big. You start to join these big corps or these big guilds, you join their discords, you make friends, you come on every weekend, and you just have a good time. This is really one of my favorite late night games to play, that even though it looks really intense, is kind of, I don't know, sort of zen-ish, and it does take a little while to stop just getting murdered over and over again. So it wasn't the first game I wanted to recommend on the list, but undoubtedly, in terms of like, dude, this is a PC game. You need to see, can your laptop run this? If it can, oh my god, this is something that you will literally never experience anywhere else. It's tremendous. Even if you don't stick with it, you will absolutely leave with memories. If you try out PlanetSide 2, download today. Next game on the list is Path of Exile. Path of Exile is maybe more of a niche game, and it really should be more niche, especially with competitors that you can play on consoles, or such as, you know, Diablo, or maybe there's like Torchlight or some other cuter titles, sure, but Path of Exile being free to play is a big boon. And Path of Exile having this ridiculous gimmick of, okay, so firstly, it's a fun story-based game, as in there is a good story, it is poetic, but it's still dark, and it is a little bit more for an older audience, sure, but then also you have this sort of arcade nature of it. So you can one and done it, but you can also replay it. You can also push it to the end game, and it has this special feature that is notorious, infamous, and it's grotesque, to be honest. The ability to mix and match and really create your own build, but more so it's more like one super duper OP ability. Maybe you have a blink that whenever time you blink, you shoot a lightning bolt, but then that lightning bolt ricochets across enemies and bounces off walls and then multiplies and then spawns zombies. I don't know. You basically mutate and modify abilities so that they can do more and more. In my first playthrough, the way that I played was on hit, I healed, and then also on hits counted for every projectile that I shot with a certain attack. It was like lava burst or something. So every time I hit somebody, you know, a lava explosion would come out, but then when they exploded, more lava would explode. And so lots of, you know, micro hits were going across the screen. My whole screen was exploding the whole time, and I'm basically just right-clicking my way all the way to victory. So that might sound silly and straightforward, but the tactics and the strategy of the game is building and making your own, you know, like abilities, or, you know, your kit, what armor you're gonna have, what loot you're gonna get determines how you play the game, and the customization with the classes is, it's something, you know. I mean, people who play definitely are going to vouch for it in the comments below. So this game, I think, can be fun if you play blind, if you play it slowly, but it also can be competitive. The only reason it's not, like, you know, lower on the list of obvious games you need to play is because there is ways that you can really kind of hurt yourself. There's ways that you can also benefit yourself by doing research and looking at guides, and I don't think that's really exactly user-friendly. So this can be a more complex game, for sure, but don't get me wrong, I'm going to be one of the few people that say, go in blind, you know, experiment, fail a few times. It's still a really fun game to just quickly run through, and it's still a fun game to play in one and done. Play it like a story. There is some interesting lore that gets read out to you very poetically, very Shakespearean, that has a very grimdark nature to it all, that maybe you don't quite feel, at least in the newest Diablo or in a few other action RPGs that might be a little bit more cartoon. This is a successor proper to Diablo 2 and goes further beyond ever, and also it is completely and totally free. So if anybody recommends an action RPG that's free to play, 99% of the time it will be the game Path of Exile. My only recommendation, other than just experiment and see what works for you, which can actually definitely get you in trouble, is you take a little bit of time and change around the control scheme, the hotkeys a little bit. The control scheme can be a little sluggish, definitely more so than League of Legends or something like that. It is definitely something that can be more straightforward, so you want to definitely make sure the buttons you use the most are the ones that are most comfortable to actually move around, and, you know, how you actually play and build your character, and even to the hotkeys definitely matter how you play. So it does take a little bit of setup, a little bit of momentum, though, once you get started, will carry you through the entire game, and it's incredibly addicting. But probably if you want a really good time starting up, play it co-op, and don't forget that this is an online game that has a very friendly community. It's really big into trading and stuff like that. I have no doubt you'll be able to jump in and make a buddy, make a friend. But if you also join with a friend with this game, even though it's probably best played solo and more hardcore, no, it's totally fine. Join co-op, play like a story-based game, learn the ropes, and then you can play new classes, play on the harder leagues and stuff like that have mutators and new rules, and it's a game that never stops playing, and a game that you'll probably keep coming back to, and hopefully you'll bring friends along next time too. Next though, I will actually mention technically another action RPG. And that game is Warframe. Warframe was one of the very first games I ever covered on YouTube. In fact, debatably, I was the first person to do a review on Warframe, and I still continue to jump in every very large update to kind of just tease what's going on. The game actually hasn't changed that much since it came out, and yet has added so much content. That's basically what type of game it is. It's a looter shooter. They're always going to add new loot and new things to shoot at. But what they do in between with that simple formula is really ridiculous. So basically, the way I love to describe Warframe, it is the most fantastic power fantasy game on the planet, at least so far, in terms of how fast you can move, in terms of how many actions per minute you can use, how many enemies on the screen that you shoot, or abilities that just clear entire levels, you can blink through entire levels. It is just absolutely like the definition of overpowered in the most senses of the way that you could describe that term, and literally mechanically, like the senses that you physically feel while playing this game. Now, for me personally, if I had to say what's the best frames to start out with and what's the mentality to go in to kind of understand this game, is there's an infinite amount of information, but at the same time, it's kind of a straightforward game. It's deceptive of how simple or complicated it can be. So basically pick Volt, which is the go fast boy frame, and go fast. Pick all the stuff that makes you go fast, and always try to go faster, aim faster, shoot faster, do bigger, better stuff. And yeah, there's going to be some frames that do some really fun gimmicks here or there. Maybe one is really tanky, maybe one is very supportive. I say just go fast, at least to start out. But the main gimmick of the game is you will be doing the same thing over and over again. So unlike Path of Exile, which is a little bit more storied, Warframe is very repetitious and much more arcade. Though they are expanding their quest, they are expanding their lore, and I think that this game will actually become more substantial in that sense. At the moment, it is mostly you're running through corridors, sometimes it's an open level, and you are shooting a lot of things. You're shooting a lot of bullets at a lot of faces, and a lot of faces are shooting a lot of bullets at you. But you have really cool wacky powers that are very sci-fi, very just it's insane. It's literal insanity. Ninjas in space is how they describe it. You are going to be bullet time jumping and ricocheting all over the place. Sometimes it's bows and arrows. Sometimes it's rocket launchers. It's crazy. Sometimes you're stealthing around. Sometimes you're a literal tank, just running and dashing through enemies and their gore splattering the walls behind you. Very fun stuff, to be honest. Straightforward, but basically just focus on things that make you go fast, that make you do more damage, that get bigger numbers, and you run through levels faster, you get more loot faster, and that's just the cycle. That's just the repetition. So in my opinion, I do think it's more fun than Destiny. I do think that at the same time, for other power fantasy games that you might be able to play, it is more fun. Most of those are, paid to play, like warrior style games or a couple of other action RPGs. But in terms of what Warframe does, being a free-to-play looter shooter, I do think that it is the best overall. But that might wane a little bit because, again, it is more of a tried and true formula that they keep kind of churning out, but it's also a game that we keep coming back to. And again, with that episodic questing that they're putting in, the cinematic stuff that they're putting in the lore expansion, it could get really exciting as something that parallels Destiny or, maybe other full-fledged AAA games too. So it's a gorgeous game, oh my god. And with mouse and keyboard, obviously that power fantasy really comes to fruition. I'm telling you right now, with Volt, with certain stances, with the pole, with a staff weapon, you can go so fast. And I have a 144 hertz monitor with a gaming mouse and keyboard, and I cannot keep up. My brain cannot register how much information is processing because I am moving that fast, killing that many people, and it's crazy. I'm Sonic, man. Gotta go fast. So I appreciate the game like that. I think a lot of new players will too. And then once you actually get deeper into it, there's lots of different builds that you can do. Melee only, which is generally what I go with, different guns, different ways of grinding, and of course you can experience the game episodically as they roll out the quests and join the community, which is so huge and still ever blooming and blossoming. Only thing to really worry about is in terms of co-op, where Path of Exile, you can kind of one and done it, play it like a story. Warframe doesn't have that, and it's easier to just kind of jump in, jump out with random people. Playing this game co-op is a little bit more difficult because of the really wacky and ridiculous level scaling, because you are going to constantly playing new characters, constantly leveling up new weapons, and constantly playing, old levels and then new levels and varying levels of difficulty. It's very weird to actually play with a friend all the way through. That's the only downside, but it does have a clan system, a dojo system, which is pretty fun too. But overall, if you just want to play a very weird, strange, very PC game, that is absolutely Warframe. Now, by now you probably have realized that I'm not really duplicating genres. Every single game is totally different. Here we have one that seemingly might break the rules, and that game is Smite. Smite, in many ways, if it was top-down, would be a League of Legends clone straight up. The gimmick, though, is that it has gods. Yeah, from mythologies. And even modern mythologies like Cthulhu and stuff like that. So right now, I just re-downloaded it recently. I've been playing it, getting back into it, and God, it's still just as fun as back in the day. Smite actually was the MOBA that got a lot of people into MOBAs. However, there is a unique twist that changes, honestly, everything. And that is the fact that the camera is over the shoulder, and when you change mechanics, it changes everything. So League of Legends is click to move, and the way they do click to move is very action-based. That's really cool. I applaud it, and it's very fun, but a lot of people love the mechanics of Smite. And Smite is a little higher on the list because it's not as obvious, maybe, because you can play it on consoles, and you can play it fairly well on consoles. So this is not quite strictly just a PC game, but on PC, obviously, it really sings, it comes to life with the aiming mechanics. So this game, even what in other games would be auto attacks, it's not actually automatic in Smite. You have to aim them. Even the melee is so intricate and balanced that the user base, the meta, we call it boxing. Because even between the auto attacks, you have a chain of different attacks. Like the third attack might be a bigger attack, and you definitely got to make sure to hit that one, or maybe there's different hitboxes and stuff like that. So, wow, man, Smite goes deep. Even with auto attacks, the itemization as well, and how that chains into how the mechanics play. Basically, again, on paper, it looks like a clone, and it kind of is, but it actually has so many surprising mechanics of how you, and that's what we call when you physically play the game and how it physically feels, the buttons you press and how you aim, which definitely feels a lot different than controller when you actually play with a mouse. So Smite, it really comes to life and becomes a much more different beast of a game than its predecessors such as Dota. But I also really appreciate this game because it does some other things very well. Really, it can be kind of a competitive game, and it is Smite's definitely Hi-Rez's most popular title, but it's not just a sport title. Like, you can jump in, and most people do actually play the sort of for fun game mode, which is Conquest. Conquest is the most battle arena MOBA thing that I've ever had ever. It's you just jump in, you're instantly kind of leveled up a little bit, and it's just an arena. Now, there's still creeps, there are still actually kind of like a jungle, debatably, but you just run into the enemy team and smash face. It's just a team fight over and over again. You also have some other really fun games. They have these really gimmicky game modes that kind of go on a weekly rotation, where they limit, like, everyone uses the same character or something like that. Like, 5 versus 5 Lokis is just ridiculous. Everyone's blinking and going stealth all over the place. 5v5 Bacchus was also dumb. Anyways, but then you have Joust, which is also competitive, debatably. So that's 3v3. It's kind of a smaller map. And then they even have, like, PvE events sometimes, apparently. And there's new stuff and new exciting experimental things going on all the time with Smite. The characters are wacky. The skins are so silly and cheesy. And that game, it really has separated itself from League of Legends to the point where League of Legends has actually been taking some of those concepts and putting that into their, weekly fun or monthly for fun, seasonal events and things like that. It's really cool to see what Smite has become. And frankly, out of all of Hi-Rez's games, it is the most long-lived and the one that is most foundationally, like, successful for Hi-Rez. Really what makes Hi-Rez Hi-Rez and exemplifies their design process. And on PC, it's a game that I think pretty much everyone has tried at least once, and I think we can all look back and be like, oh yeah, that game was silly as hell. So for MOBAs, this is kind of like MOBA's TeamFortress 2 in a lot of ways, where it's just a fun game to just do pickup games and play with friends. But also, Smite can actually be competitive, debatably more competitive than their game Paladins, and definitely actually, like, playable compared to Tribes Ascent or something like that, which also is such a fun PC game. But regardless, you want to play games with your friends that are free to play, you just got your PC game, you want to join them, this one actually has a population. It's pretty popular, it's in Steam's top 10, so definitely one I gotta recommend for sure. Even though I did put another MOBA on the list, again, the mechanics of this game change it up. And also for new players, since this list is meant for new players, Smite is the easiest MOBA to learn. Not that it is the easiest MOBA, but they have tools available to auto-buy items for you, to auto-skill for you, and then of course the plethora of different game modes and the accessibility of all the characters in the game just make it so easy for anybody to jump in play without having to worry too much, the stress or toxicity of other games, and yet it can actually build into that esport title that you definitely might want from, obviously, an esport genre such as MOBA. And now number 2 on my list, and it's only 2 because I debate if it's, how much of a game is it exactly, but it's VR chat. Now this one I really shouldn't have to explain too much, but if you're completely brand new to PC gaming, you have no idea what VR chat is, you've been living under a rock, that's okay, that's fine, then let's learn because it's something special. And for those who have been around the block, VR chat is still popular, there's still brand new memes and experiences to be had every day in this game, and still new technologies emerging here, and new games to be played within inside of it. Kind of, sort of. But VR chat really isn't kind of a game. It's more like Discord or something, but it's visual. And also, you don't need a VR headset to actually play the game. Obviously, it enhances the immersion and what you can do in it. And if you watched some YouTube videos or streamers, you know how silly it can be, but you can just download it for free. It runs decently well. Just you want to make sure you have a good mic to actually talk with people, but overall you jump in and you just sit around and talk to people. I mean, for me, I did some karaoke with some guys around a campfire. We played like a little Easter egg hunt with some pillows before, and you're gonna do a lot of like, I don't know, ad-libbing and comedy sketches and people just trying to be silly. Or, I don't know, maybe you want to cosplay as Morty or something. It can be a good time, I think, but it can be daunting, absolutely, for sure, because you are going to have people who are like professional singers or professional voice actors or voiceover artists or something. You're going to have a bunch of random people that are being funny. You want to join in the fun, but, sometimes it's okay to just be a spectator. It's okay to just sit back and relax. Every once in a while, though, someone's going to come up to you and talk to you, and yeah, it can be nerve-wracking a little bit, being a brand new PC gamer in this brand new weird and wacky world, but it's also energizing when somebody introduces you like, okay, it's your turn to freestyle, let's go, and I don't know, it's shit and things happen. So VR chat is where it's a wild west of PC gaming, where anything can happen and you can see anything happen. So you can just be a spectator, you can actively participate, you can have your own community events, you can do so much with VR chat, but at the same time also a whole lot of nothing can happen too. But it is just such a weird, deep-fried experience that you have to play it on any new PC that you get. Please and thank you. And finally, welcome to the controversy. We're talking about Roblox. And the reason I'm putting Roblox on the list, it really has nothing to do exactly with PC mechanics, but it is for the fact of you can make your own maps. And that is something that has been distinctly really popularized by PC titles back in the day, like Far Cry. Maybe you guys have played Gmod titles. And of course, obviously nowadays, anybody can just pick up like Game Maker, Unity, and Unreal Engine and slap together a game. But sure, but Roblox is the game that makes it really easy to browse other people's games. They're all really fun. A lot of them are distinctly PC, even though you can play Roblox on your phone. I think on consoles, in general, it's easy to play Roblox. I get it, but making the maps and then also the culture and the community comes to life, I would have to say, on PC. Now, not distinctly just only on PC, so of course, it's not the first game that I wanted to mention, but it's such an easy game just to download. You go to roblox.com, there, you did it, and then you can play a bunch of different games. Now, which games do I recommend in Roblox for a beginner? My favorites, I loved Mad City, which is like Grand Theft Auto PvP with heists and everything. It's cops versus robbers, except also superheroes and supervillains, and it's really stupid fun. There hasn't been another game like that since like APB Reloaded, or I don't know, if Saints Row had multiplayer, that'd be pretty cool. Another one that I really liked is a roleplay style game, which reminds me a lot of VR chat if it was a real game, and that would be Royale High, where you get to pretend to be a magical girl going to a magical girl school, and you have your dorms, and you have, like bakery class and stuff like that. There's a bunch of mini games, and it kind of culminates to like a dance or a fashion show kind of thing, where people vote on who is the most fashionable based on the theme. I genuinely loved it. It's an actual role play game. And there's many, many more. There's first-person shooters, there's MMORPGs, survival games, and they're all cheesy and stupid. And again, you can play them on other platforms, but that added extra oomph when it comes to, okay, PC gaming. A lot of PC gaming is customization. It's modifying, it's mods, and there aren't too many free-to-play games, especially games as a service, that let you actively make what you want, and Roblox is one of them. Now, there's a few other titles that are coming out that are going to try to do that, such as Hightail, such as Blancos, but Roblox is definitely the one that you should be jamming to. If you're not going to buy Minecraft, and even after you buy Minecraft, Roblox is grossly popular, and it seems like it's mostly populated by maybe girls, young adults, maybe like a younger audience. But I don't want to just say it, but Roblox isn't just for kids. Obviously, it's kid-friendly, and it's awesome, and it's a great way to kind of get to grips with learning how to make games and playing really fun, silly experimental games. But this is seriously good for anybody, for all people, especially if you love game design and you love playing weird, wacky, new, frankly artistic game design stuff. So yeah, I really recommend it to literally everyone on the planet. I was biased too going into it. Weird physics, weird graphics. I get it. It can look a little bit dated, but at the same time, Roblox seriously, genuinely is something unique and special, especially when you go into the fact that, well, you can make your own games, make your own maps. So if you guys want to stay tuned on the channel, I'll be making my own. Maybe I'll be running my own MMO through Roblox or something like that. We'll see what we make. But yeah, it's a fun adventure to go on for sure. That is distinctly PC and free to play. And you guys should be downloading this game as soon as possible when you get your first PC. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the top 10 games that are free that you should download on your new PC. So if you're new to PC gaming, these are the ones that I highly recommend. There's a ton of others that people are going to mention in the comments below. Some that you really only can play on PC. You know, a bunch of MMOs, distinctly arena shooters or RTSs like StarCraft and StarCraft 2 are free to play. The best arena shooter is Diabolical at the moment. And Quick Champions is also fun too, though lower population, so I didn't mention it on this list. And there's a ton of games that you can explore and go deeper. After you try a few of these, look in the comments, try those, join my Discord, try to play with some of the friends and family, and let's all just try to make some memories and share these experiences together. Thanks for watching. This was a longer-winded video, especially harder on me and harsher because my voice not doing so good. I'm a little sick, but I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel with, obviously, you know, algorithm boosting comments and likes and peeling eyeballs on the Patreon, supporting me, trying to educate and entertain you guys so that we can, you know, all make gaming a little bit cooler and more fun, because it's like, I don't know, I do this because I want to play with other people. So yeah, hopefully we have new gamers joining us today in the community because of this video. So yeah, please join my Discord, watch the streams, and ask for an invite. Let's play some games together. Much love, friends and family. I'll see you in the next one.